The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
You ever wonder what famed Hollywood icon Freddie Prinze Jr. is doing these days? No you don't. You'd be surprised to learn that he spends his days talking shit to fans on Twitter that don't like Star Wars The Last Jedi. Is it because he's a Star Wars shill? Let's find out. So earlier in the month, Freddie put out a tweet saying, I just read a tweet to Pablo Hidalgo complaining about a young Han Solo not looking or sounding like Harrison Ford. Hashtag please be real tweet. Hashtag oh man I hope he was serious. You need a raise, Pablo. Which I agree 100% with. Alden Ehrenreich doesn't look or sound like Harrison Ford. So point one to the Prinze. A fan by the name of Saber Kai responded with, I don't think there's a gif or meme anywhere on the internet that can appropriately express my disgust with this take, but let's try anyway. And you can see the meme on screen. To which Fred responded like all Hollywood douchebags do, from a place of perceived moral superiority. He says, to be offended by a Star Wars tweet is to lack every ounce of self-confidence a human could have. Laugh at clowns, that's what they're for. He attempts to be humorous in his next response, but the fangs are out, and he's spitting venom. You see, Freddie Prinze Jr. isn't just some former star who's taking to Twitter to shit on fans for fun. No, he's protecting the home turf. Why? Wait for it. Because he does the voice of Kanan Jarrus on Star Wars Rebels. Who's that? I don't know either. Joe Weaver, no relation to Sigourney, playfully retorts, and then Freddie Mercury responds with his worst piece of work since Wing Commander. Saber, always remember a whole bunch of average out-of-shape white guys fantasized for decades about Han giving them the Falcon. Then, wait for it, he gave it to a girl. The horror! Let them cry and moan. Take joy in their misplaced pain and grief. Would he have this haughty of an opinion if they weren't shitting on the movie series he's tangentially related to? If it was DC, he'd jump right in. If this was Transformers, he'd drive the hate train himself. But he works on a Star Wars TV series. And that's where the conflict of interest lies. There's this weird narrative in Hollywood right now, and for some reason, shitting on Star Wars goes against that. Most people aren't shitting on Star Wars because of the women. Most people dislike the film because of the bad story and the bad characters, and it actively ruins the greatness that came before it. This series of tweets died with Joe Weaver's response, and I'm anxiously awaiting Mr. Kruger's response to him. Over on another series of tweets, Jeremy posted a really great video from that Star Wars girl. I suggest you check it out. It goes against his earlier tweet. Fred begins to backtrack here by saying, except I didn't say that. I said most of these clowns. Doesn't matter to me if you like it or hate it. You try and dictate art and I'm going to call you out. Remember, I never start any of these insult fests. They always at me and then get hurt feelings when I slap them. Triggered. First off, Fred, I don't think you know what the definition of art is, so just back down a bit, buddy. This is all fine and dandy, except it goes against his earlier tweet. He does care if people shit on The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi. He's got to try and go for the throat, but he never asks the important why. Why should he take that route? Maybe it's because people from every walk of life don't like the fucking movie, and instead of hurling insults, you should just take a step back. Speaking of insults, Colin Jones, son of Henry, calls him out appropriately by saying, Scooby-Doo is Freddie Prinze's highlight. Hey Freddie, I know your washed-up career sucks, but get over it, man. Scooby-Doo sucked. Now this is my favorite part because Frederick of Hollywood says this. Bro, honestly, I think it made almost $1 billion, and that's just the first one. You can hate it, you can love it. Checks are all the same. Hashtag show business, hashtag which word is bigger. But wow, is he wrong? A basic Google search brought us this. Scooby-Doo made about 1/4 of what he said it did. Kind of like how his career was 1/4 as relevant as he thought it was. His ego is beginning to get the best of him and he's slipping. Finally, he responds with this gem. You guys keep forgetting I only go on people who feel it's okay to write disgusting things to filmmakers, actors, etc. If you don't do that, which clearly you do, then it isn't you. In this case, quite specifically, I'm talking to you. Peace, man. This goes against his words from earlier. He does care if people don't like this film. It eats him and all of his kind up that real people, the ones that can say what they want freely, tend to rip apart The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens for a myriad of reasons outside of her girls. And surprisingly, when a woman criticizes the film, he sweeps it under the rug. Way to marginalize women, Freddie. So based on all of this information, is Freddie Prinze of Bel-Air a Star Wars shill? He exudes all of the shill-like behavior such as talking down to fans who dislike his associated property, taking the perceived moral high ground and avoiding those who punch holes in his theories, that all dissenting opinions on Star Wars are those of fat white dudes. But I'm going to side with no on this one. Although, he's definitely an asshole who plays it safe as not to piss off his corporate overlords. A shill is one trying to make it, but he's already made it and he knows it. And Freddie, you've had a great, memorable... You were there, Freddie, in the late 90s and early 2000s, making movies that dominated blockbuster shelves and dollar cinemas across this glorious nation. Thank you for your service. So that's it. Tell me what you think about this. Is Freddie Prinze Jr. a shill? Do you even know who Freddie Prinze Jr. is? I mean, our audience may not have been born when he was relevant. We're talking like 20 years ago, Freddie Prinze Jr. was a name to be reckoned. Well, he was never really a name to be reckoned with. He was just like in all the teen dramas and all that other shit. She's All That. What was Freddie Prinze Jr. in that I actually liked? He was in She's All That. Didn't see it. Scooby-Doo. Sucked. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Sucked. Down to You. Didn't see it. Summer Catch. Didn't see it. Scooby-Doo 2. Didn't see it. Boys and Girls. Didn't see it. You know what? What did I see of Freddie Prinze Jr.? Nothing. So I'm really not making this video to shit on Freddie Prinze Jr.'s lack of relevancy in 2018, but he did come off as a dick, and it is related to Star Wars, and I feel like something's got to be said about it. There are no other franchises out there that rip on people the way Star Wars does. And I will say Star Wars because it's the people that work there. They're allowed to do this. I would love to see an insider memo about how to interact with fans. I mean, over on Marvel, you have thank you letters. Yet, at Star Wars, you're told to go fuck yourself, and you're called a racist and a sexist and a bigot because you didn't like the movie they made. You know what happens when George Lucas was told the prequel sucked? He followed his vision, and he didn't call people idiots or losers or homophobes or anything. He either changed it accordingly, or he just went through and saw his vision through to the end. And you gotta respect that. Criticism is good and bad. Everyone gets criticism every day, and you can choose to accept it and grow, or if it's bad criticism, you can just ignore it. I feel like Star Wars has taken such an extreme stance on this criticism that everyone involved with the series is now just, they have their fangs out and their claws and they're just ready to tear apart people. This isn't good PR. This isn't how people in the real world act. And I find it funny that Freddie Prinze Jr. from his dollar store ivory tower seems to be talking down to people that didn't like Star Wars. I mean, let's go back for a moment and let's look at the tweet he posted about the Millennium Falcon where he said, a whole bunch of out-of-shape white guys fantasized for decades about Han giving them the Falcon. Well, I may not be in the best of shape, but I'm not old, and I'm not white, and I never fantasized about Han Solo giving me the Millennium Falcon. However, I did consider the fact that if it's something he loves as much as the Millennium Falcon, how would he have lost it? I do find it stupid that out of plot contrivance, they just happen to see the ship on not Tatooine, and they run by it, and then they take it, and then Han just so happens to pick it up. You see, that movie can be described as X just so happens as this, just so happen. Just so happens is the phrase to describe Star Wars The Force Awakens. Nothing good, nothing original, everything just so happens to happen. With The Last Jedi, you have somebody that was actively trying to make a subversive Star Wars film, and it failed. You'll say, oh, $1.4 billion at the box office isn't a failure. Actually, we have a video that describes how much they actually made in terms of their initial investment of the $4 billion and how much they'd have to make each year based on box office sales to recoup their investment. And we know that the toys aren't selling. Down 21% from Hasbro, and Hasbro's paid a huge licensing fee. So Lucasfilm got that, but their market share is going down. I mean, people across the country keep sending me photos of stacks of Rose Tico figures, which, if you're not kicking them down, what are you waiting for? But you'll go to your local store shelves and you'll see just these backlog of Star Wars figures that nobody wants based on characters that nobody loves. Rey is maybe some small girl's favorite, but nobody likes Rose Tico. Nobody cares about General Hux. Kylo Ren is a weak villain. You want to talk about a strong villain? Thanos. We're a couple days removed from Avengers Infinity War, and people just keep going on about Thanos, Thanos, Thanos. Hell, hashtag Thanos demands your silence is a big deal now. Kylo Ren hashtags aren't like based out of respect in the power that the character had. Anytime someone talks about Kylo Ren, he's a joke. He's a whiny, insolent little bitch, and he's no one's favorite villain. It gets doubled down by Lucasfilm and everyone associated with them. And Star Wars is this toxic brand that now you're getting an anime for. And now you're getting more stuff than ever when Star Wars is at its lowest, which is interesting. A couple of years ago, 2008, so a decade at this point, when the Clone Wars launched, Star Wars had been out of theaters for 3 years. People had time to cool off. You brought out this cartoon series. There was a lot of interest, and it was a really good show. Dare I say excellent towards its peak. The Clone Wars, in many ways, validated the shittiness of the prequels because it took the lore of the prequels, gave it to somebody who knew it, and made it excellent. I mean, Anakin is actually a heroic character in that. Obi-Wan is just as cool. They've actually made Obi-Wan more interesting because even George Lucas didn't fuck up Obi-Wan Kenobi. But the whole Duchess Satine storyline and how he was having a possible romance and he went against some of the Jedi code, it made him a more relatable person because no matter how strict you want to be, everyone falters at some point and it makes you more human. Rey isn't a human. Rey is an ideal on paper. She represents this modern, weird, third-wave feminism, social justice warrior agenda on screen. She's very mannish. She lacks any feminine qualities or features in terms of her looks. She was cast for a reason. She's not even a good actress. Like Daisy Ridley, her acting is let me look and stare. Like, your mom can act like that. I acted like that just now. You didn't even see it, but you know what? I was just as good as Daisy Ridley. Trust me. And Disney makes these decisions and nobody wins. They're winning in the short term at the box office, but we're in a world now where, and I'll talk about this again later in the week, the Avengers franchise, the Marvel franchise, has 19 films, and they've reached like $16 billion. Star Wars is at $8.8 billion, and no matter how much even we at the channel talk about superhero fatigue, they knock shit out of the park with something like Infinity War. It wasn't predictable like everyone said it would be. These Star Wars movies, it's not necessarily that the plot is predictable, but the marketing is predictable, meaning they go and they take little things from novels and comics, lines of dialogue, and they build up an entire movie out of, it's the ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. And now people are trying to defend, well, if Han Solo doesn't fly the ship, it's okay because he only says the words, it's the ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. He also speaks about the ship in many ways about, may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts. I made a lot of special modifications myself. Those lines infer that it's been his ship the entire time. Not until Empire do you hear about, oh, your ship, you lost her to me fair and square. It was built out of that. If you're trying to act like Kira or whatever her fucking name is, doing the Kessel Run is awesome, you're dumb. Just flat out. Sorry if I hurt your feelings. Just wake up in the morning and realize you're dumb. In Star Wars, the way they treat their fans is dumb. That's really it for me today. It's good to be back. It's good to start a new week here on World Class Bullshitters. And we got a ton of great content for you. We got something specially requested by a patron. So if you're a fan of this channel and you want to help it grow and you want to have specific videos made just for you, join the Patreon page and check out the perks of certain tiers. We got a series coming out called The Joker's Blogs. Well, we don't have a series called The Joker's Blog, but I'm going to start watching those and I'm going to review those by the end of the week. So to our good friend Andrew who requested them, be prepared. But we also got another couple of videos coming out that you guys are really, really going to like. So be prepared. Tell everyone about World Class Bullshitters. Make sure that little bell notification is hit, because if you don't, you won't see when these videos go up live, and you're going to be regretting missing some of these videos, because we're pumping out stuff all the time, and we're really hitting a lot of important topics, so you got to just check out everything we do this week. If you're a super fan of this channel, obviously the Patreon's great. If you can't afford it, no problem, but join our Facebook page. We are almost at 1,000 people in our one group alone, so that's really exciting, and I just want to thank everyone who's in the fan page. You're all a bunch of wonderful people who really keep the conversation going. I haven't been that active this week because I didn't want Avengers spoilers, but now that I've seen the film, I'm back, I'm having fun, and it's a great experience. So if you love entertainment, and you love the way World Class Bullshitters take is on it, then you need to join the Facebook page, because there's a lot of people. Make some friends, talk amongst yourself. There's all kinds of great topics every couple of minutes at this point. So thank you for watching this video. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, share it, tell everyone about World Class Bullshitters. I'll be back tomorrow with more, and thank you for watching.
Fred! Babe! You are fired! Or should I say, terminated?